Hello, welcome to another Save Your Books live streaming. We are still working on Emily of New Moon, this little book. And we are so close to being done sewing the book. I finished sewing a bunch of stuff off camera, and I'm going to just finish sewing the last two signatures. And what I really want to show you guys today is the knot that is going to go inside the signature when you're connecting one thread to another thread. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to move this to hands on, and we'll go down here and check it out. Let's see. Da, da, da. Yep, I've got my sewing thread here, and I think first of all I'm just going to make sure that this is actually it's so hard to keep everything. I just need to know if this is actually going in live. So, if you're in the chat, let me know that you are there. And, oh, there we go. We are live. Yay! Okay, excellent. I stopped and started in the middle when I was filming, and it created two different ones, so now I have to delete one. Anyway, you don't need to know any of that. You're just here, so thank you for being here. And let's see. Great, I'm going to go back down to here, and we will get back to this. So where we're at now is, and I've turned this in a kind of an awkward angle. Normally you would have the back of the book kind of more facing you, or have this be completely the other angle, but I'm going to go with this. Here's where I ended. I'm on the inside of the signature with my needle and thread, and what I need to do here is I need to attach a new piece of thread, and I want to make sure that the thread is going to get me all the way through the last two signatures, because that's all I have. So I want to measure, go one signature, two signatures, half a signature, and then plenty of extra just in case. So first thing I'm going to do is to cut the needle off, because I'm going to need the needle on the next section. That little bookbinder's knot holds really well. Throw that away. And so what I've got here, assuming this is going to stay in place and everything, it actually doesn't matter much. I'm going to tie the knot, and I'm going to do it in real life here first, and then I'm going to use a demo red and blue threads. So I'm making a little hairpin loop with the long end going there. My goal is to make it so that the knot will fall right here. That's the goal. Between this hole and that hole, I want there to be a knot right in there. As long as it's somewhere in between here, it's fine. If it's in the hole, that's not so good. So you have to make this tiny little loop, and then you're making literally a tiny other loop this way with the thread behind it, and then underneath, and then I'm going up here, and then this is poking through away from me through that first loop that I created, and now I'm tightening everything up kind of all at once, and then you want to pull that, and it kind of locks in place. This is called a weaver's knot. And I'm cutting that off, and I'm only leaving, what, a quarter of an inch, 3/16 of an inch, something like that. You don't need much. If this isn't tight when you're doing this whole thing, you may wind up going, oh wait, I'm pulling this and now it's in through the knot. And you ideally you would avoid that. So I'd like to just remind people you can become a member of the channel. That, you know, buys me a cup of coffee once a month basically, but also allows you to come to the members only Q&A, which is on the first Thursday of the month at 10 o'clock. And that's just a chance to see what I'm up to and say hi. This is a great example of why you don't pull really fast when you're going through the holes. Once again, it just gets caught on things. So you pull very gently. I'm giving a little tug, and I have to catch up the sewing in the back, so I have to come over here and look at what I'm doing. This was covered in the last video. Back in through the hole, and it'll come out the hole here, and kind of, there's no benefit to pulling it all the way through every hole. If you can pull it through two at once, that's fine. I'm making sure that the signature isn't collapsing onto the next one. This is one of the times when you can see the clear benefit of having a sewing frame that's holding everything upright and in place so that things are nice and straight. There is definitely benefit to having a sewing frame. And the Jeff Peachy no key sewing frame is a really nice sewing frame. Little tug. Okay, ready to do the next one. Finding the center. There we go. If you miss the center, which has happened to me, you'll notice it eventually that like this section that you didn't catch will be falling out. If you catch that before you've bound your book, that would be ideal. You can actually just re-sew that through the hinge with a bit of thread through some mull or through this without having to redo the whole thing. But try to get the actual center. That would definitely be the better thing to do. Go back in. For some reason that's pulling through really tight. Not sure why. It's making me want to pull it through here. Have a little more control. All right. Tug. You can always check your snappiness. Oops. Oh, I forgot to do my bookbinder's knot, and that's exactly why we do it, is that the needle just came right off the thread. So the bookbinder's knot is just untwisting the thread and poking through the strands of the thread. That way it stays on. When you're tugging it like that. Good reminder. Tug, make sure everything is straight. Do one of the last kettle stitches. Oh, I caught that wrong. I'm going to show you. I poked that through and I caught it into a different section of the book, so I have to undo that. Whoa, that was way off. It's better to get something in between so you can figure out where the actual between is. Help the needle come out. That way you're not poking through paper you didn't mean to. All right, so there's that. There's the loop. Go up. This is the kettle stitch, so I want to really make sure everything is tight before I do the knot here. This is one of the kinds of knots that we work with in sewing, kettle stitch. And there's only one more. I'm noticing I have a couple little page repair things I may want to attend to later. But meanwhile, all right, got this. I'm just poking through the holes again because I added this bit of Sakishu, this hinge, to help strengthen it later, and I had not poked the holes yet through that. All right, I got it on there. Just weight that down. We're almost done with all the sewing. Come on, there we go. Making sure that's still loose. Oh, almost pulled that through without that. Just going to give a little tug here, check on the... It's nice to kind of pull up on each one of these and just double check everything. That's fine. Okay, and that is the final hole coming out there. And so now I'm going to do the final kettle stitch. Giving myself a little tunnel there. And in order to completely finish it off, I'll just do another kettle stitch. You don't have to do anything super fancy because all of this gets glued down on the spine anyway. You just want to make sure it's not going to move around from the end here. And that's good, like that. I'll just trim that. Ideally, this gets glued down going across there. I'm going to trim this one down, same thing. Gets glued down going across the threads. Oh, I can finally take this off of here. Oh, and actually, you know, one of the things I didn't do on this, which we could have done, was you could have this be loose on here, and then one of the benefits is you can constantly kind of like put it back up, jog it to the head. But as you can see, it's beautifully sewn now. We love this sewing. And if you've done it right, you should be able to pull these through completely like that. They should be loose within the sewing. The sewing should not have caught any of those. All right, so that's that. The book is sewn. Next, we'll be rounding and backing next week. And last week I was in Spokane teaching a book repair class for the Spokane Print and Publishing Studio, however that goes. And they have a print fest in April once a year in April for a whole month. And yeah, they brought me in to teach some book repair. All right, so I've got my needle sitting around over here, and I want to demonstrate tying that knot, the weaver's knot. So I've got some more, color contrasty waxed threads here. That'll make it a lot easier. And so, let's just, for the sake of illustration here, we're going to pretend that this is kind of like the inside of the paper, and we're going to put in some fake holes. Here's a hole, here's a hole, there'd be more holes. The book is sewn along, and it's finally come out of this hole, right? And then we need to attach a new thread to keep going this direction. So if it's attached here, and we'll just put that there. Look, see, it's attached, it's coming out of this hole. Here's your new thread, old thread. And I'm making let's see if I can raise this up a little bit. I want you to be able to see this a little better. Okay, so you make one hairpin, and I'm kind of aiming for the knot's going to be right here in between the two holes. And so I might aim for the hairpin to actually be a little less than that, because when you're pulling it together, there's some, tension stuff that happens. So I've got that. The end is up. And then I'm making another hairpin by going underneath and then around like that. So it's kind of like two hairpins, and I'm just looping it, which I don't actually find helpful to think of it that way. I make the one hairpin, go up behind it, come across it, and now I'm jumping rope kind of like underneath, and then I'm going straight through that first hairpin. Meanwhile, I've held this tight the whole time, so nothing's moving around. And now my new thread, and I'm kind of looking at the pattern here, and I'm just kind of pulling it all together. If you pull all the threads all at once, and then you pull, well, that's what we want to avoid, is that slippage. So then I'm pulling the new thread really tight in order to get a little pop. And that pop where that red just came through, is what we were looking for. And now when I pull the new thread, it does not pull off. And so now I can trim the old threads. And then that winds up being right about there. So actually I was pretty accurate, so, but you could, I was pretty accurate with my knot, meaning that I didn't have any slack. But that's it. That's for the knot. I actually have a sewing video that I'm going to be posting soon. I just want to make a better video of this stuff, so it's actually in there and you can see a little more close up. All right, so that's it for the live streaming today. Remember that the best way you can support creative endeavors is to tell a friend. Thanks for watching.